Well, the other issue that I know is being tossed around a lot, particularly on the Senate side right now, is cap and trade.
Right.
And one of our senators, Senator Graham, is intensely involved with trying to come up with a resolution to cap and trade. We've talked with NAM a good bit about what we thought was important. Is Lindsay on the right track, or where's NAM on those particular issues?
Well, and you're right, it is focused in the Senate right now because the House passed something called Waxman-Markey. And, we're all concerned about the environment. I know you want clean air, we all want our kids and our grandkids to have clean air, clean water. So the goal is not the issue, it's how we get there. Waxman-Markey is very damaging. It would cost 2.4 million jobs. It would cost $3 trillion in economic activity in this country, and that's assuming the economy improves.
Yeah.
So we clearly don't want to see the Waxman-Markey legislation, and we worked against that. The bill is now in the Senate, and that's why, as you said, there's a lot of talk there. Senator Graham has indicated that he wants to see any bill that comes out of the Senate have a very big emphasis on nuclear energy and nuclear energy production. We agree, that's very, very important. We also want to make sure from the NAM standpoint that any legislation that comes out is helpful, not harmful to job creation, and helpful to economic growth and economic activity. The Waxman-Markey legislation, we conducted a study with an outside organization, and they're the ones that determined that it would be harmful to the economy. Whatever comes out of the Senate, or whatever the Senate ultimately will vote on, we'll conduct a similar study.
Well, I know in South Carolina, when you start talking about CO2 emissions, ozone, and what EPA, the regulations where they're starting to reduce the parts per million on each one of those, to us that's just as detrimental just about as some of the things that they're talking about cap and trade. Is there any way that can be part of the debate to keep the parts per millions on CO2 and those type of things at a level high enough where, in this case, maybe the whole state of South Carolina is in non-attainment?
Now, you're talking about the EPA actions?
Yeah, exactly.
So the Environmental Protection Agency is moving on a separate track, but trying to accomplish similar things.
But can we correct that in the bill?
We can definitely have an impact. Individual Americans can have an impact. I'll say it's a little bit more difficult because government agencies tend to be very remote bureaucracies that don't usually listen to the American public. But every administration understands that they serve at the will of the people. So the more that people contact the EPA on this issue, and again emphasize how the proposals that they have out there will impact real people in the real world and jobs and economic growth, the better. And the way to do that is to go to the NAM website, nam.org, and sign on to the petition that we have on our website to the EPA.
Gotcha. Last issue we want to talk about a little bit is employee-free choice.
Yep.
And it's kind of taken a back seat for a little while now, but I know it's going to raise its head again, and we're going to be dealing with employee-free choice probably the first of the year. Speculations
So is there anything wrong with being free or having choice? I mean, I think those are great words. Whoever named that bill did a great job.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's neither of those things. The Employee Free Choice Act takes away the private ballot for employees. It imposes binding arbitration on employers, and it creates huge penalties on employers but not labor unions if there are violations of labor law. So that bill is just flat out a bad, horrible bill. It can't be improved. There are those in the Senate that are trying to come up with a compromise piece of legislation, and everything that we've heard is those compromises are just as bad. They would create quick elections so that an employer would have maybe 15 days to respond to a union election. It would create a different sort of binding arbitration known as last best offer, still have a government bureaucrat deciding wages, and it would still create huge penalties on employers and not labor unions. It would also require workplace access by labor unions onto the workplace, which could be very disruptive to getting the job done at any time. So we're very much opposing that legislation, and we're encouraging all of our members and their employees to, again, talk to members of Congress.
Time frames. Let's talk time frames. Healthcare is burning on the eye right now. Is it likely that it gets done before the Christmas or holidays recess?
There's a big effort to get that done. The President of the United States has said he wants a bill on his desk by the end of December. President Obama is very persuasive.
Yeah.
He has a little higher hurdle in the Senate because there are a number of senators that are very concerned, and because of all the arcane rules in the Senate, it's much tougher to pass a bill in the Senate than it is in the House. So I give it a 50-50 shot to get to the end of the year.
So really important for folks to touch those legislators,
Absolutely.
or congressmen when they're
Now,
out.
during the Thanksgiving holiday, and also should it not pass when legislators are back home for Christmas break.
Well, Jay, thank you for being with us today. Thank you for all that you do
Well,
for the business community.
Thank the South Carolina, to the South Carolina Chamber and all of your members, because you are really one of the most effective organizations in the country. And it's because you guys take the time to contact your legislators, your members and their employees, get out there. So we love working with you, and thanks for all you do.
Jay, thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us on CEO Corner, and we'll be back next week to talk with another individual that can give us insight on how businesses operate in this country, in this state. Thank you.